Before I start tonight's story, I want to make something clear. This isn't some internet myth or a creative writing exercise. What you're about to hear was posted anonymously on a late-night forum by someone who claimed to work the graveyard shift at a warehouse in the Midwest. The post was deleted less than an hour after it went up. But before it vanished, a few people managed to archive it. They said the man who wrote it sounded tired, like someone who hadn't slept in a very, very long time. He left one warning behind. Whatever you do, don't turn off the lights. I've always preferred the night. When the world goes quiet, when the hum of the streetlights replaces the noise of people, that's when my mind slows down. Or at least it used to. 2 years ago, my fiancée Lily died in a car accident on Route 19. I remember the headlights more than anything else. The way they cut through the rain, the split second before everything went black. Since then, I haven't been able to sleep properly. My body rests, but my mind doesn't. I tried everything: medication, therapy, meditation, even hypnosis. Nothing worked. The moment I closed my eyes, I'd see her. Not how she was, but how she looked that night. I guess that's how I ended up taking the graveyard shift. A warehouse job sounded harmless, quiet, mindless, and far away from people asking how I was holding up. The pay wasn't great, but the night was mine again. That's all I wanted. My first night was last November. The building was huge, a sprawling metal carcass surrounded by asphalt and fog. Inside, the fluorescent lights never stopped buzzing. They said it helped keep workers awake. But that sound, it wasn't just noise. It was constant, like a heartbeat that didn't belong to you. The supervisor, a thin man named Clyde, handed me a clipboard and pointed toward the main floor. "Don't touch the switches," he said. "What switches?" I asked. He pointed up at the lights. "Those. The rule's simple. Never turn them off. Ever." He didn't explain why. He just walked away. I thought it was some safety policy. Maybe the place had a bad wiring system. But when I looked around, I noticed something strange. There were signs taped to almost every wall, yellowed and torn: "Do not turn off the lights." They weren't printed by management. They were handwritten, different handwriting, different markers, some in pen, some scratched into the paint. That should have been my first warning. The first few nights went smoothly enough. The warehouse had rows of shelving units filled with boxes labeled with codes I didn't understand. My job was just to scan and log inventory. It was lonely work, but it was peaceful. At least until the lights began to flicker. It happened just after 2 a.m. The flicker lasted less than a second, but when it did, something changed. The air got heavier. My ears rang. For a moment, I could have sworn I heard whispering from somewhere near the back aisle. I told myself it was the hum of the lights, maybe the air vents. But that night, I met Raphael. She was new too, a young woman with short hair and tired eyes. She laughed a little when she saw me jump at the flicker. "They do that sometimes," she said. "You'll get used to it." I asked her what would happen if the lights went out completely. She paused just for a heartbeat before smiling. "You don't want to find out." She said it like a joke, but there was something in her tone that wasn't funny. Later that night, I found her staring at the far corner of the warehouse, a section filled with mirrors. They were lined against the wall, each one covered in plastic wrap. I asked what they were for. She shrugged. "Clyde says they're damaged stock. Don't touch them." But the strangest thing was, when I walked past that area, I could feel warmth radiating from behind the plastic. Like sunlight, By the end of my first week, I started noticing the inconsistencies. The cameras that lined the ceiling didn't point toward the entrances. They were aimed at the workers. And every night, right at 3:15 a.m., the lights in aisle 12 dimmed just a little, almost imperceptibly, and I'd feel that same heavy pressure in my ears. Sometimes I'd see movement in the reflection of the polished floor, a figure that wasn't mine. It's hard to explain, but when you work nights long enough, you begin to notice rhythms patterns in the hum, in the flicker in your own heartbeat. Something about this place didn't match the rhythm of the world outside. It felt like the warehouse was alive. One night, I went into the restroom. Everything in there was spotless chrome tiles, mirrors so clean, it made me uneasy. When I looked into the mirror, my reflection stared back normally at first. But when I turned to grab a paper towel, I saw it move, just slightly slower than I did. There was a delay. I froze. Then I moved again, a small gesture, lifting my hand. The reflection copied it perfectly timed. The lag was gone. For a moment, I thought I'd imagined it. But as I leaned closer, the mirror fogged not from my breath, but from inside the glass. I told Clyde about it the next day. He didn't look surprised. He just said, "Keep your eyes on your work and don't turn off the lights." When I pressed him for an explanation, he walked away without answering. Raphael stopped coming in after that night. They said she quit, but her locker was still full of her things, jacket, phone charger, even her badge. I wanted to believe she left, but part of me knew better. 2 nights later, the flickering got worse. Whole rows of lights sputtered and buzzed, bathing the aisles in pulses of shadow. Every time the light returned, something felt rearranged. A box moved, a door half open. My reflection in a darkened window, a few inches closer than it should have been. I started hearing my name, softly under the hum. At first it sounded like the vents. Then it sounded like Lily. The smell of her perfume, jasmine, and rain drifted through the warehouse, faint and impossible. I followed it past the empty shelves until I reached the mirror section. One of the plastic sheets had been peeled away, and behind it, the glass shimmered. For a heartbeat, I saw her Lily standing in the reflection, smiling. Her lips moved, but no sound came out. I touched the glass. It was warm. The lights flickered again, and she was gone. The next night, everything fell apart. At exactly 3:15 a.m., the power surged, the hum of the lights rose into a deafening whine, and then silence. The warehouse went completely dark. I couldn't breathe. The air felt thick, almost liquid. Then came the whisper, "Turn around." It was Lily's voice. Every instinct told me to run, but my body wouldn't listen. Something moved behind me, soft footsteps, bare feet on concrete. I turned. In the glow of the emergency exit sign, I saw her. But not as I remembered. Her face shimmered, rippling like water. Her eyes were black, not hollow, but endless, filled with reflections of me, hundreds of tiny versions of myself staring back. She spoke again, her voice calm, almost loving. "You don't have to be alone anymore. Just turn off the light." I didn't realize it until later, but I was holding a flashlight. The small beam of light trembled across her face, and she flinched just slightly, like the light burned. That's when I knew whatever was standing in front of me wasn't Lily. The light snapped back on, and she was gone. But the mirrors, every mirror in the warehouse, were uncovered now. Every surface gleamed with impossible brightness, and in every reflection, something moved independently, half a beat behind, They found me the next morning collapsed by the entrance. Clyde told the others it was exhaustion that I'd passed out on my shift. But I know what I saw. I tried to quit the next day. The manager said Clyde had been gone for years, that no one by that name worked there anymore. When I asked about Raphael, they said they'd never hired a woman by that name either. They even checked the security tapes, and there was no one else in the building, just me. I tried to watch the footage myself, but the screen glitched halfway through. For a moment, I caught a glimpse of flash of movement on the monitor behind me. My reflection, smiling. I left that job after that, moved out of town, got a new place, a new routine. But every night, when I close my eyes, I see the same pale light bleeding through the cracks of my curtains. It hums, softly, patiently, like it's waiting. And sometimes, when I pass a mirror, the reflection lags again. Just a fraction of a second, but enough. Enough to know the warehouse wasn't the only place where the lights kept something at bay. Maybe they weren't keeping the darkness out. Maybe they were keeping something else in. Last night, the power flickered in my apartment. For a heartbeat, I saw her standing in the doorway, smiling and outstretched toward the switch. The lights came back, and she was gone. I haven't slept since. I don't think I ever will. Because now, even in the dark, I can still see the glow. And when I look at it, too long, it smiles first, if you made it this far. Thank you for listening. The story you just heard was found again a few months ago, re-uploaded by a different account, with no name, no photo, and no history. The timestamps were recent. The only text in the description was a single sentence. The lights flickered again. Maybe it's fiction, maybe it's someone's confession. But next time you're alone in a brightly lit room, and the light above you hums just a little too loud, maybe check the mirrors. And whatever you do, don't turn off the lights.